Hello there. Going to be taking a look today at Mighty Retro Zero, which can be picked up on the Humble Bundle site with the low price of $1.50, I don't know, something like that. So the game itself is a simple platformer. It's set in the quote retro style, but honestly there doesn't feel much like retro to me. The color palette is kind of ugly. It's greens and pinks and aquas and it didn't do anything for me. The reason I say it's not retro is it doesn't remind me of any older games. It just looks like a game with really small sprites and very simplistic gameplay. So as for the game itself, there are a couple modes to it. There is the quote history mode, which as far as I can tell is just regular platform levels that you keep playing. I played about 30 minutes of that, and in the process of it, I died a whole lot. Some of the deaths felt that they were my fault, and kind of like Super Meat Boy, where you know, hey, you screwed up, you should have did this jump right, or you should have watched out for this enemy. But not all the deaths were like that. A lot of them came from the controls don't completely feel tight. The pixels are so small that sometimes it's just hard to tell when you're going to hit something and when you're not. There was one level in particular with spikes that shoot from the ceiling, and it was just a real pain to try and figure out when it was I was supposed to shoot it, or when I was supposed to dodge the spikes. As far as enemies, there's not a whole lot that I came across. There's round circles that look like eyeballs that just fly directly at you and were honestly pretty annoying. There's a few other things, but none of them really stand out. For the most part, they just either come right at you or they follow a certain pattern. As far as the abilities you have, you can run, you can crawl, you can just shoot straight ahead. There's the ability to wall jump, which kind of, sort of, maybe sometimes works if you're doing it right. If you jump against the wall and you hit the jump button, you'll jump to the other side. But it doesn't always work, and if you try and push left or right when you're jumping against the wall, which is just kind of natural with platform games like this, it doesn't work at all. And there was one part in the game where I don't know what I was supposed to do to get over this wall, and I literally spent 5 minutes trying to do that silly wall jump. And it finally worked, and thank goodness there was a save point right after that, because if I had to do that again, I would have probably just cut the game off right there. You do also have the ability to get fuel to use your jetpack. This ability really isn't used that often, and when you do get fuel, you can pretty much guarantee it's because you're coming up on a section where you're going to use it, and the game gives you just enough fuel to do that one jump. So it's not part of the it's not commonly a part of the gameplay. It's just kind of like a gimmick that's thrown in there. I don't mean to be too down on this game, but it just didn't do anything for me. As far as a platformer, it's pretty simple. The difficulty is high up there. As far as being a retro game, and I'm referring to it as a retro game because that's the Humble Bundle that it was sold under, was the retro bundle. It doesn't really nail any notes on that for me either. Speaking of notes, the music is awful. It is a simple mid-eye that just loops off in the background. Thankfully you do have the option to just turn that off from the start. Sound effects are nothing to write home about. It did have a few other modes to it. One was Pong or Arkanoid, and it was neat for about 2 minutes till you realized there's really no gameplay here. It's just a level that kind of looks like Arkanoid from the arcades, and that was it. There was challenge modes, but I went and did challenge mode. There was one level that was marked easy. I finished that, and I never saw any other modes. It was just easy level number 1, and that was the only one I could find. I don't know if the game is still not officially released, and Humble Bundle was just giving it out as part of, as part of one of their deals where the game's not ready for prime time yet, but I only found one level. So overall, unless you're really a fan of tough platforming games, I probably would pass on this one. Take a look at the video, look and see if it's something you like, but overall, nah, wasn't for me.